What comes to mind when you think of a lawyer? Harvey Specter? Saul Goodman? Jolly LLB? In our previous episodes of Girl Up, we have seen amazing women, an entrepreneur, a PR consultant, a finance expert, a business analyst who follows mixed martial arts. Well, all these episodes are somewhere here in the link. Today's episode is going to be awe inspiring because today we have a lawyer with us who is also an artist, and she has managed to break the glass ceiling in many, many ways. She has pursued her bachelor's from ILS College of Law into social legal sciences and LLB. Today we will discover her journey of moving from one strength to another. Without further ado, let's hear from the lady herself. Hi, Mallika.
Hi, Nimisha. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for joining me on Girl Up. This is wonderful, and I'm just looking forward to hearing more from you today.
I'm glad. I'm excited too.
Great. So, shall we begin with our questions?
Absolutely.
Okay. First of all, tell me, how did you decide to become a lawyer?
Okay, so as cliche as this might sound for a lot of people who end up entering the profession, I always, I guess, especially through schooling, I wanted to be able to get justice for people who couldn't get themselves heard. I also wanted to do what's right. And I had been associated with a couple of non-profit organizations through my high school. And, coming together of a lot of those elements just made me want to choose this profession because I knew that, it's something where, you have a voice, you can be heard, and there's some way in which you can initiate some sort of a change. So is how law primarily ended up, being the main profession I pursued.
Okay. So, we know that there are different kinds of law that people pursue. So, what kind of law
Mhm.
are you into?
Okay, so when I started out, again, I wasn't fixated on any one kind of legal field that I wanted to get into. Also, with being a lawyer, there's multiple options open, which is something I realized when I started working. But in terms of specialization, I ended up doing general corporate advisory and arbitration. Arbitration is basically a form of alternate dispute resolution for businesses that don't want to, get into the whole cumbersome procedure of getting into a court. So they have this procedure called arbitration. So that's what I ended up pursuing. Yeah.
Okay. And would you tell me what are the other kinds of law that are there? If somebody wants to pursue something in the field of law, so what are the options that they have?
Honestly, there are endless options, and there's just no limit to the number of opportunities one can get. There's literally law is the kind of field that it's so diverse. You literally pick any industry, you pick any field, and there is, at least in my personal experience, my limited experience that I've had so far, there is not a single place where you will not need the inputs of a lawyer. And I'm, talking about right from something as upcoming as data privacy to, entering into the realm of technology to entering into the creative industry. And these are, as compared to the conventional, business structures lawyers to be, there is literally a lawyer for every in terms of opportunities and the kind of laws one can pursue. There is honestly no limit. You point your finger at something, and there will be an element of law that will, required and can be developed further.
Hmm. Okay. So you work for companies like Lakshmi Kumaran and Sridharan and Nehru and Company. So these are some of the
Yeah,
law firms in India, right? So
yeah.
how does the day of a lawyer typically look like?
All right. So again, this is something that would be very specific to the kind of law someone's pursuing and the kind of role that you're playing at the law firm you're at. For me, it was. I'm just going to rephrase that question a little bit, and instead of focusing on what a typical day at a law firm would be like for a lawyer, I'm going to maybe focus a little more on the different kind of roles that one ends up playing. Being a lawyer. So even
Okay.
though I was doing corporate advisory,
Hmm.
so your role goes right from something as basic as research, which is something usually people uh, hand over to interns to do. So, right, there's a time you're playing the role of a researcher. There's a time you're sitting in a client meeting and you're trying to understand the business side of things from the person in their shoes, because ultimately that's whom you have to give the advice to. After which there comes the art of drafting, which is again a different ballgame altogether. Post which there is getting all the facts together, trying and applying. So I just feel like as a lawyer, even though it's one job that you're doing, there's just so many rules you get to touch upon, right from drafting to understanding the business side of things. So I guess that's something that's super interesting about being a lawyer, that never gets monotonous.
Right. So in your law firm, you were managing different kinds of clients, so hence different kinds of businesses, which
Mm-hmm.
gives you an insight into managing, understanding the entire business as well as understanding the finer aspects of, legal aspects. And that's when the research kicks in. That's when every
Absolutely.
different,
Sorry?
every draft that you do, legal draft is perhaps different because of different
Absolutely, absolutely. So there was this big debate about, because of how technology has come in, the
Mhm.
roles of a lawyer might get swept away because there's everything that's been so standardized and so templatized. You go on to Google
Right.
and you type, okay, this is the kind of draft I need, and you have 20 options coming up. However, the one thing that I feel that will never, sort of transform and be able, like technology will never be really focusing like overpowering the other bit, is because drafting is an art. Now, when somebody comes to me with a specific problem, okay, it's not like I know it all about their business. It's a lot of understanding, it's a lot of research, it's a lot of trying to be in your client's shoes to understand, okay, what exactly are they going through. It's
Right.
not as simple as, okay, you come to me with A and I give you an B for an answer. There's a
Right.
lot that goes into understanding what exactly is happening, and that is something I feel templates and standardization won't really do, because it's so specific to someone's situation and someone's business at that point in time, that I guess, which is why there's no one particular answer. Like, you, even if you go with the same problem to 20 different lawyers, you
Mhm.
will have 20 different responses, and all will be like worth value adding.
Wow,
So
that's
yeah.
that's really interesting. So
Yeah.
after working in the corporate for 2 years, you decided to be
Hmm.
an entrepreneur. So
Yeah.
tell me about how did that happen and sort of what inspired you. So tell me about your journey.
Again, so post 12th, you're thrown into this field where everyone's like, okay, what do you want to do next in your life? Like, what is it that you want to pursue?
Yeah.
And it's really not that straightforward, because a lot of us have different kind of interests, and likewise I did too. While I loved being a lawyer, I loved studying the law, I knew there were a lot of other things that interested me that I wanted to try out. And because of how typically a law firm works in terms of timings, there's obviously a lot of work pressure. It leaves you very little time to be able to do anything else.
Hmm.
Is when this whole aspect came off about, what if I were to do things on my own, in which case I would also have the flexibility to be able to try out and experiment with the creative side of things that I like. So that's probably what triggered the decision into, wanting to leave a law firm and start my own.
Tell me about what you have started.
Okay, so it's actually a lot of so initial first month was very dicey, because you've suddenly left your cushion job, and you have your something as something like finances. Your fixed income is coming from a certain job, and despite being with law firms and with very well established law firms for 2 years, there was always this little nag that I had constantly, which just wasn't making me feel satisfied enough. So is how this decision came about after 2 years of going back and forth whether I should or whether I shouldn't do this.
Yeah.
And early this year, I ended up leaving my law firm, and I started out extremely small, and it's still something that's growing and thriving and evolving into something further. It started with the idea of a lot of small businesses not having the right kind of legal help that they needed. So I reached out to a lot of small firms, mid-sized companies, a lot of creative entrepreneurs like myself, who I knew would want the help of a lawyer in terms of starting up their business, coming up with their agreements, their policies. And so I just wrote out to a bunch of these small companies saying that, hey, you know what, I've just left a law firm and I'm starting my own legal consultancy. Is there any way I can help you? So that's pretty much how it started, and then it picked up through word of mouth, through some references through friends and families, and touch wood, it's been good so far.
Great. Congratulations for the success that you have drawn so far, and really wishing you all the best for the future.
Thank you so much.
Uh, Now that you have also started on your own and you've also worked in two of the good companies, tell me, if somebody wants to become a lawyer in India, what are the top
Mhm.
skills that they should acquire or maybe hone from an early on?
Okay. So while a lot of people, again, I'm digressing a little bit from the question you asked me to give a slightly more holistic context.
Sure.
Being in law school,
Hmm.
and there are some people who've had lawyers in their family, is why they know that they want to enter into a profession. But there are a lot of people like me who have no background in law as such. We've not grown up with lawyers around. And there's obviously something that makes you want to take up that field, right? For me, in particular, those three important things ended up being articulation, being able to be extremely clear and precise in what you want to say. Number two would again be research, because law is so dynamic. There's just no end to where what research there, it's just almost never ending. There will never be one right answer. There's law is something that's open to multiple interpretations, a lot of different kind of fields. So there's just so much going on. So that research, being able to articulate, and the third thing I feel, which is extremely important, which I think goes a step beyond just books and legal knowledge, is your ability to be able to analyze.
Okay.
So you need to analyze situations to be able to break down, to be able to get to the root of a particular situation. Because when you're representing a company, when you're representing a certain individual, and I'm speaking very generally, you need to be able to identify what the core issue is,
Hmm.
and to be able to do something like that, working on logic, assimilating facts, and then breaking them down, is something that's key to being a lawyer. So I think, in my opinion, it would be these three things: being able to articulate, being able to analyze, and being able to research really well. I think are three things that everything else can be built upon, but these remain constant no matter what kind of law you choose to pursue.
Wow, that's really wonderfully put. And I never expected you would say analyze, because that's something, which is left to a lot of other professions. At least that's like an immature, I would believe so far. So I'm very happy
Mm-hmm.
you thought about this point. Uh, Moving on to something very different, Malika,
Mm-hmm.
you've also started into another journey, which is into the field of marketing. Uh,
Yeah.
I want you to tell all of us, how did that happen? What are you currently doing? And tell me from the start.
Okay. So, like I've previously mentioned, that I quit my full-time job at a law firm and I started my own as a independent lawyer. I started providing consultancy services to small startups and to creative entrepreneurs. So that's definitely going on. That's one part of it.
Yeah.
The other, like I said, because there was a huge part of me that wanted to do something creative. Now, being creative is a very wide ambit. There's a lot that comes within being creative. So for
Yeah.
me, things that I personally really wanted to work upon more and grow and develop was photography,
Hmm.
because I've always loved photography. The other thing was creating content. Now, when I'm saying content, it could be written content, it could be creating videos, it could be, researching and coming up with something, a new way of engaging with your target audience. So, as different as this might sound, when I applied to a couple of firms, I wasn't looking for a job title. I was not looking for a specific role. I just identified brands that I really liked, and I wrote a very simple email introducing who I was, which was basically a lawyer who left her full-time job and wanted to pursue something creatively. And I literally just stated something as small as, hey, I'm wanting to venture into the creative realm. And these are the kind of things I'm good at. I'm good at photography, I'm good at content creating, and I'm good at engaging with people. So if you think I'm the right fit for any of the projects that you're currently working on, I'd love to collaborate. So again, it just happened. Now, I didn't want to become a brand growth consultant. I had no idea what it entails. I just knew I had a skill set I wanted to work on more. And fortunately enough for me, I found the right fit. The company that I'm currently working with, ended up finding somebody that they were looking for to fill a certain niche role, and I just came and filled into that bucket for them. So right now it's lawyering and also content creating / brand consultancy.
Mallika, in most of our lifetimes, people are not even able to find one fit, one job fit, and you found your.
Yeah.
So that's something which is really inspiring for me. And
Thank
how are you finding it? How do you manage your time, being also an entrepreneur, and you're working for another company as a brand marketer, as a growth consultant? So
you.
does that
Mm-hmm.
work out for you?
So, like I said, they are both extremely demanding jobs.
Yeah,
They both require a lot of time, a lot of thinking, and so it's different. They don't really merge. They're both completely very different fields.
absolutely.
So I think initially in my first 3-4 months, it honestly did overwhelm me a little because I was working by myself. It's not like I have a team to depend on that. Okay, can you do this bit of research or that bit of research? Gradually over a period of time, I also realized that I need to start balancing these two better, and at a given point in time there will be one that I will need to focus on a little more perhaps.
Yeah.
So I started planning my work in a way such that one wouldn't overshadow the other because I wanted to give my best to both. So fortunately, because I have the freedom to be able to take in the kind of clientele that I'm taking in, in terms of setting my own framework and timelines for the kind of projects I take on. So that's something I've sort of tried to manage better so that no one thing takes a hit at the cost of the other. So if I know that my a certain week or a certain month is going to be extremely heavy with with the company that I'm consulting for, then I'll make sure that the way I pitch myself to clients and to get more engaged clients would automatically take a slight a back foot at least for that given period of time, because doing both simultaneously with the same amount of vigor and time is challenging, and it also I think sometimes takes away from being able to give your best shot to one thing. So I think that's something I've realized. Doing both with the same kind of vigor is a challenge. So it's just about balancing the kind of work you're taking on, the kind of commitments you're making to people. And fortunately, because I'm working independently, I have that flexibility to be able to do that. So that's something that I've learned, I think, for 6 months into the job, when I realized I was taking on everything as opposed to structuring it a lot better.
Right. So what I could take away from this is that prioritization, and
Absolutely.
also the goal is to give your best shot at whatever you're.
Mhm.
So work equally, but prioritize when what is required.
Absolutely. Prioritization does become key, especially for something when when you're working into two completely different realms. I had to keep coming back to asking myself, okay, why exactly did I leave my, full-time work at a law firm? So a
Right.
lot of times when I feel I'm digressing and I'm feeling lost, I also have to come back and remind myself, okay, this is why I did this. Therefore, my focus right now needs to be a particular thing. So that absolutely being able to prioritize and know what you're doing and why you're doing it is important. Which also I think comes eventually with once you get into it and you actually start doing things.
True, true. I agree. That's wonderful. Uh, okay, I think this has been a really inspiring conversation for me, Mallika, because I know that you are somebody who is actually very young. I did not mention it before on this video. I'm just speaking with you and I'm feeling so proud because I've got to interact with you, and definitely I'm sure the audience that watches this video is also going to be inspired.
I'm so glad. I'm so glad.
So, before we end this interview, do you have a message for the young viewers of this channel and girls, especially? So, please tell them something so which inspires them and motivates them.
First things first, I think it's one message that I would really want to put out there for a lot of people is that do not settle. A lot of us get very comfortable doing what we're doing, and change is scary. However, if there's something, don't ever be scared to take that next step. Don't ever be scared to, move out of your comfort zone, because there's just so much to learn out there. There's so much to explore about yourself when you just, take that little leap of faith and end up doing what you want to. So yeah, just keep chasing your dreams, pursuing your dreams, as cliche as that might sound. And yeah, just don't settle. Just don't settle.
Wow, that's one strong message. And since you're living by it, it definitely goes, with the credit. So that's wonderful. It was amazing talking to you, Mallika, and thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you, Nimisha. Thank you so much.
I wish you all the best for your future,
Thank you so much. Thank you so
going
much.
from strength to strength. We look forward to seeing you again.
Yeah. Thank you, Nimisha. Thank you so much.
Well, whoever said that you could only follow one job in your lifetime was completely wrong. And if you like this video, share it with young people who are entering the profession of law and they're confused whether they should take it up because they think that they'll get stuck up in this one profession for the lifetime. You've seen that people can do many things with their life and pursue everything that they really love. So if you like this video, hit the like button and also subscribe to my channel Jumka with a Laptop. Take care. Bye bye. Love you.